Every single year, the team over at ARK Invest drops their Big Ideas report. And it's basically their roadmap for the technologies they believe are about to completely change the world as we know it. So today, we're going to dive into their latest vision. They're calling it the Great Acceleration. And get this, it's a pretty bold claim about the very future of economic growth itself. Okay, let's jump right in.
To really get where we might be headed, we got to look back for a second. In the past, all the big industrial revolutions were really powered by one single dominant technology. I mean, think about it, the railroads, and later on the personal computer. They created these massive waves of investment that you can see right here. But they weren't just straight lines up, they were waves. They peaked, they pulled back, and in the process, they totally reshaped society.
So that brings us right to this moment. Are we just at the beginning of another one of those cycles? Or, and this is the really interesting part, is something fundamentally different happening this time around?
Let's dig into that exact question, because ARK's central argument is that no, we're not just seeing another tech cycle. They believe we're walking into an entirely new kind of industrial revolution, one that's way bigger than just a single wave of change.
So, what's the engine behind all this? What's driving this massive shift? Well, ARK has a name for it, and honestly, it gets right to the heart of their entire thesis for the next decade.
They call it the Great Acceleration. And here's the absolute key thing to wrap your head around. This isn't about one technology. It's about several massive innovation platforms all maturing at the exact same time. And even more important, they're starting to talk to each other, to help each other, to amplify each other. So this isn't one wave, it's like 5 huge waves all crashing together at once.
And here they are, the big 5 platforms at the center of it all. You've got artificial intelligence, of course, public blockchains, robotics, energy storage, and multiomics, which is basically the next level study of our own biology. Now, each one of these is a total game changer on its own, but when you put them together,
Well, it turns out they're all being supercharged by one central enabling technology. It's like a dynamo that's spinning faster and faster, driving this whole system forward at a rate we've just never seen before.
And no big surprise here, that central dynamo is artificial intelligence. See, AI isn't just another platform on the list. It's the catalyst. It's the secret sauce that's making every other platform smarter, faster, and way more efficient. It is literally the accelerating force behind the Great Acceleration.
So what does it actually look like when these powerful technologies start to crash into each other? This is where the whole idea of convergence gets really, really interesting. This visual really nails the idea, doesn't it? These technologies aren't in their own little boxes anymore. They're not just running in parallel lanes. They are becoming deeply, deeply connected, creating this dense web where a breakthrough in one area can instantly unlock brand new possibilities in another.
And listen, this isn't just some vague concept. They're actually putting numbers to it. ARK calculates that the strength of this convergence network shot up by a whopping 35% in 2025 alone. I mean, the connections are getting stronger, and they're doing it exponentially.
Okay, check this out, because this is a wild, almost sci-fi example of what this convergence actually looks like. So AI has a huge problem, right? It needs insane amounts of power for its data centers, and we're just plain running out of space and cooling on Earth. Well, what's the solution? Robotics. Specifically, reusable rockets could just launch those data centers into space where power and cooling aren't really a problem. Robotics solving a critical bottleneck for AI. That right there, that's convergence.
Okay, so we've got these incredible technologies smashing into each other, accelerating innovation. Super cool. But so what? What does any of this mean for the real world, for the actual economy?
To really get the potential impact, let's just zoom in on one single example, the home. Right now, the way we measure the economy, we only really see about $2,600 per household in paid stuff like cleaning or repairs. That's the value that officially gets counted in the GDP.
But we all know that's not the whole story, not even close. All the cooking, the laundry, the repairs we do ourselves, that's real work with real value. ARK estimates that the true value of all that unpaid labor is actually closer to $65,000 per household. That's a massive amount of economic activity that's just completely invisible to our spreadsheets. Okay, now, enter a humanoid robot. All of a sudden, you can take almost all of that invisible value, $62,000 worth, and turn it into measurable economic output. That robot frees up human time for other paid work. It's just staggering. One robot in one home could make that much of a difference to the GDP.
Now, let's scale that up.
You take that one example and you multiply it across millions and millions of homes. The impact on the whole economy is, well, it's staggering. Widespread adoption of just this one technology could literally double the rate of annual GDP growth.
And this chart just lays out the disconnect perfectly. On one side, you have the standard forecasts, like from the IMF, who see global growth hovering around 3%. That's business as usual. But then you have ARK's model, which plugs in all 5 of these converging platforms, and it projects growth at more than double that, over 7% by 2030. That's a totally different world.
So if even a fraction of this future turns out to be right, we're talking about one of the biggest economic shifts in human history. Which, of course, leads to the final billion-dollar question. What on earth does it mean for the markets?
Well, according to this research, it means a complete reshuffling of the deck. Just look at this projection. These innovation platforms are on a path to go from being a relatively small slice of the global stock market today to becoming the overwhelming majority, potentially over 60% of the entire market by 2030. That's a fundamental reordering of economic power. But it's so important to remember this quote from the report. This isn't like flipping a light switch. This whole thing doesn't just happen overnight, everywhere. It's a process. These changes are happening right now, but they're happening in pockets, gradually building into that transformative wave we've been talking about.
Which really leaves us with one final thought. If the future is already here, but just unevenly distributed, then the biggest question isn't if it's going to happen, but where it's going to show up first. So, where will you be looking for it?